Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, and Karkadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And Shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say Shalom to you, Akim out there. And this is a sit down lesson, a quick one for in the news of November 29th, 2022 at 3:40 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Tuesday afternoon. And this is another day of the markets. Even though it had a good solid gain, because most of the day the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq all fell. And after the final seconds of the clock at 3 o'clock over there Eastern Time in New York with the Wall Street, it gained a solid gain with the Dow Jones. But the but as the story says, the stocks finished lower rather than higher because they had low stocks gains in the negative range throughout the whole day today. And when the final seconds of the three o'clock mark, Eastern Standard Time of New York, of the Wall Street had a little solid gain, but the gains were lower than expected for today. And this is WallStreetJournal.com, last updated November 29th, 2022 at 4:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads from the WallStreetJournal.com for in the news November 29th, 2022, and it reads: stock markets today finished lower as Tuesday oil rises. It says today's development: U.S. stocks fell Tuesday following a sell-off a day earlier, while prices of oil rose. It says stocks in Hong Kong mainland rallied, as did the U.S.-led shares for several Chinese companies. Investors are betting on a loosening of COVID-19 restrictions. China following a nationwide protest. Here in crypto news, lenders block field for bankruptcy Monday. Read up roundup for the latest coverage. But I'm gonna scroll down to the stocks and markets area. And he says the major U.S. stocks average finished Tuesday mostly down ahead of the final trading session of the month, right? Because they was focusing on the economics data and what's going on around the world with the current tensions with the protests in China as well too, and along with the somewhat data of the consumer spending as well too. I believe the consumer spending was lower than expected, as the data shows. And I believe it was a major announcement. It might not have been a major announcement, but it was an announcement from the Federal Reserves as well too. So that's what the stocks and market kind of react to that. But at the final seconds of the 3 o'clock mark, it had a good solid gain. I believe the Dow Jones was like 3 points up, like 3.83 points, I believe. In the S&P 500 and the industrial Nasdaq, I believe they both fell, but the Dow Jones had a good, somewhat lower slight gain. And I'm gonna read it again for edification's sake. It says the major U.S. stock averages finished Tuesday mostly down ahead of the final trading session of the month. The S&P 500 was in the negative 0.2%, as the Dow Jones Industrial near flat, and the Nasdaq Composite negative 0.6. The benchmark of a 10-year Treasury yield rose 0.4 0.05% points to the 3.746 of today. And this is a Meta platform stock on pace for strong November despite a rough 2020. So that's a statistic data show right there of that. And this was from earlier today. It says crypto crisis latest. What happened with the BlockFi bankruptcy of FTX collapse and Bitcoin prices? Salaki. It says the cryptocurrency lender BlockFi has followed a FTC into bankruptcy, reflecting on contingent created by the failure of San Bankman Fred's digital asset exchange. And this one right here, it says millions of shoppers returned to stores over Black Friday weekend, right? Because the Black Friday weekend wasn't so much all the attention and the hype about it, because I believe it was a couple of stores. It was closed due to the non-existing of the shoppers. Because in previous years, they had a lot of people was amped up and anticipating and exciting for Black Friday. This year it didn't seem like that, so it was kind of dry. Let's see. So you see in other places of the markets, it says that UBS sees further losses for stocks in year end. A sell-off signals of stocks is flashing, UBS says Monday. The firm uses it as a machine learning model to estimate the probability of big moves in the S&P 500. The model, which correctly indicated a year-turn sell-off in August and a rally in October, now shows a greater chance of further pain ahead of the UBS strategic says economic conditions, inflation, interest rates, and earnings have continued to weigh on negative on the model, according to the UBS. Right, because due to the inflation rates, the condition of the current state of the economy, along with the gas prices, oil prices, and reflections of what's the markets react to what's going on financially and globally as well too. So, right, it says inflation expectations remain near the Fed's target. A course of Federal Reserve officially have signaled a higher interest rate are here to stay. It says the bond market is taking them to their word. Right, I guess that announcement comes from the Federal Reserve, so I guess they still going to continue to make that announcement of increasing interest rates more than expected now before. The bond market is taking them at that word. A long-term inflation expectations are not far above the central bank's target 2%, that is proxied by the 5-year forward inflation expectation rate. Currently at 2.3%, investors and the Federal use the rate, the difference of a nominal and inflation adjusted treasury yields to track the expected level of inflation over the 5-year period starting in 5 years. Inflation last came in a 7.7%, but bond investors see monetary tightening tactical price increase. The yield curve infusions with the 10-year treasury yield drops below the 10-year is the most severe in decades, that a signal that investors see policy tightening, driving rates higher in the short term, but falling inflation leading to lower rates in the future. That's the statistic shows right there of a 5 year for inflation rate, expectation rate. And this was from earlier today. It says a U.S. listed Chinese stocks rally amid protests. Shares of a U.S. led companies jumped on Tuesday after Beijing said it would accelerate the you know what, a sign of investors believe paved the path for a loosening of the word 19. Cryptocurrency exchange before it shuts down. Oh, that must be something else. Says the U.S. government is backstop mortgages above 1 million mark for the first time. Right, because I did a video on it about, with the mortgage rates increasing and house sales dropping, and due to the consumer spending and interest rates of everything going up as well too. So I did a video a while back on that as well too. So, so yeah, this is for the stocks and stuff like that. So yeah, you still gonna see, the stocks and markets, they react of what's going on globally, financially, of what the Federal Reserve says, the interest rates, the consumer spending, the rise of oil prices, and with the current protests going on over there in China. So the stocks and markets, it reacts to what's going on in these businesses and these companies and these CEOs, prime examples and stuff like that. So as you see, the markets finish lower than expected due to the markets was in the negatives range. They had a good solid low finish gain of the Dow Jones, even though the S&P 500 and the industrial, they both fell, while a solid slow gain of the Dow Jones of a 3.83%, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq industrial fell as well too. But you're still going to have continuing increase of oil prices, continual the inflation rate, interest rate going to increase, and the cost of living of everything is going to continue to increase as well too. So this was a lesson that I wanted to do, and this was an update from the Wall Street with the Dow Jones and S&P 500 and industrial fell, but a small solid gain with the Dow Jones, as I mentioned before, in the green spot, a finish lower than expected of a 3.83%. But the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq fell as well too. But you still gonna see this trend going to continue of what the stocks and markets and the bonds react of what's going on globally, and especially financially as well too. From announcements from the Federal Reserves, data statistics, consumer spendings, this is going to be a continuing trend, because the stocks and markets in the Dow Jones of Wall Street, it's a balanced scale. Sometimes it's going to have good solid gains, potentially winning streak, and then there's times when the stock's going to crash and fall, because it's a balanced scale. So this trend is definitely going to continue and continue. And the stock's going to react what's going on globally and financially as well too. So this trend is definitely going to continue. So with that, I hope this sit-down lesson for In the News was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Akarkadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely, and shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and above.